They laughed when they cuffed him. Cameras flashed, voices sneered, and one officer muttered, "Another one down." But none of them knew that the man they mocked wasn't just any suspect. He was a judge they'd soon stand before. If you love your mom and dad, hit that subscribe button and show them some love, because what happens next will make you believe in karma and courage. The night was cold, the kind that carried sirens farther than they should travel. In downtown Atlanta, Marcus Reed had just finished dinner with his younger sister, Layla. He was a tall man with quiet confidence, the kind of presence that made people listen before he even spoke. His suit jacket hung neatly over his arm as he walked toward his car, sleek, gray, and shining under the streetlight. Out of nowhere, flashing blue and red lights painted the street. Two police cruisers screeched to a stop beside him. Officers jumped out, shouting commands. "Hands where we can see them," one yelled. Marcus froze, startled. "Officer, is something wrong?" he asked calmly, but his voice was drowned out by the chaos. Within seconds, his wrists were wrenched behind him. Someone laughed, not a nervous laugh, but one that carried mockery. "Didn't expect to get caught tonight, huh?" An officer said. Marcus's face remained composed, but his heart raced. "Caught for what?" he asked. "You match a description," came the vague reply, as though that justified everything. Layla ran from the restaurant door, panicked. "That's my brother." "He didn't do anything," she cried, but one officer blocked her, saying, "Ma'am, stay back." Phones were out. People recorded. Someone whispered, "Another one," while another chuckled under their breath. It was a picture too familiar. A black man in cuffs. Guilt assumed before words were heard. At the precinct, Marcus sat in silence, letting them process him, fingerprint him, and question him about a robbery he knew nothing about. He gave calm answers, no anger, no shouting, only quiet disbelief. When they asked for his ID, he simply said, "You'll find it in my wallet." One officer flipped it open and froze. His eyes darted from the ID to Marcus's face. Chief, we got something here," he stammered. The room fell quiet. The chief walked over, squinting at the ID. Then his voice dropped. "This man is Judge Marcus Reed." The silence that followed was heavier than the cuffs around Marcus's wrists. The laughter that filled the room moments ago evaporated into shameful stillness. Marcus didn't gloat, didn't curse, didn't even speak. He simply said, "Am I free to go now, gentlemen?" They rushed to uncuff him, stammering apologies, but Marcus stopped them. "No," he said firmly. "Follow procedure. File the report. I'll see this through the right way." His calm cut deeper than anger ever could. Later that week, headlines erupted. Judge wrongfully arrested by own city police. Social media exploded with footage from that night. The laughter, the jeers, the moment realization struck. The department scrambled to explain. The mayor issued statements about misidentification and regrettable error. But Marcus stayed silent, letting the world argue while he prepared his response the only way he knew how, through justice. Days passed, then weeks. Finally, the courtroom filled. Cameras lined the walls. The officers who had arrested him sat nervously at the defense table. Marcus walked in, not in cuffs this time, but in his black judicial robes, trimmed in silver, the robe he wore when he presided over cases of truth and lies. Gasps rippled through the room. Reporters whispered. The same officers who once mocked him now lowered their eyes, unable to meet his. He took his seat, not as the accused, but as a judge. Court is now in session. His deep voice rang out. The room went still. Every word he spoke carried the weight of that night. "Justice," he said, "is not a privilege of power, nor a matter of perception. It's a promise we all owe one another, no matter the color of our skin, the clothes we wear, or the street we stand on." As the testimony unfolded, the truth was undeniable. The suspect description was a lazy excuse. The officers had acted on bias, not evidence. Marcus didn't demand vengeance. Instead, he ordered mandatory retraining, community service, and a public apology from every officer involved. He wanted accountability, not revenge. But what shocked everyone most wasn't the verdict. It was what Marcus did afterward. He used his own experience to launch a citywide reform program called Walk in My Shoes, where officers spent weeks learning about the communities they served. The same officers who had laughed at him were the first to volunteer. Months later, at a community event, one of those officers approached him with tears in his eyes. "Judge Reed," he said, voice shaking, "I didn't know what I didn't know. That night changed me." Marcus smiled gently and replied, "That's the point. Change starts when we see, not just look." News outlets called it one of the most transformative moments in the city's history. Schools taught about it. Activists quoted it. And through it all, Marcus remained grounded, a man who turned humiliation into reform, pain into progress. Yet there was one moment, quiet and unrecorded, that revealed who he truly was. After the courtroom emptied that day, Marcus stood alone before the bench, touched with polish by countless trials, and whispered, "Father, I hope I made you proud." He thought of his late dad, a bus driver who used to say, "Son, life will test your dignity. Don't ever let it take it." Marcus smiled, eyes glistening. He had passed the test. That night, as he walked out of the courthouse, the same reporters who once chased him for scandal now stood in respectful silence. One finally asked, "Judge Reed, what message do you want people to take from this?" He paused, looking into the cameras. "That laughter fades," he said softly, "but truth echoes. Let yours echo loudly." The story spread beyond Atlanta, across the country, across oceans. It wasn't just about race or law. It was about respect, resilience, and redemption. And though the world moved on to its next headline, Marcus's story remained a quiet reminder that sometimes the most powerful revenge is grace. He went on to mentor young law students, many from underrepresented backgrounds, reminding them that justice isn't found in titles, but in how you treat people when no one's watching. Years later, when Marcus retired, hundreds gathered at the courthouse named in his honor. On the front steps stood the same officer who had once cuffed him. He spoke to the crowd. "I arrested a man that night," he said, voice trembling, "but I met a hero." And when Marcus walked through those doors one last time, he wasn't just a judge. He was a living lesson,